mother, tell your children not to walk my way. Tell your children.
Oh, well, and this will be a bit of a preview. I usually don't do pay-per-view previews, but I thought I would do a preview for Bound for Glory, basically because I didn't have anything else to do. So yeah, I did watch Impact, and my first question I would ask anyone in Impact, I'm not going to review Impact, but the first thing I would ask is, did Impact do a good enough job in your mind to sell you on the pay-per-view? It didn't do much for me, to be completely honest. It really didn't sell me on the pay-per-view in any way, shape, or form. More so than they had in the past, which is kind of sad, to be honest, since this is the second show they've had 2 hours for. They did make me a little bit more interested in the women's match, but I was already kind of interested in the women's match because we have Amazing Kong, and I like Amazing Kong. Other than that, I mean, everything else was just kind of already set. I don't think they did a great job of. I think they did a good job of setting up the matches. I don't think they did a great job of selling the matches, if that makes any sense. Particularly since this is supposed to be their biggest pay-per-view of the year. Which, in my mind, this is their best chance, looking at the card, because this is a pretty good, I mean, looking at the card, it is a pretty good card, it looks like, of at least putting on something that was better than Backlash, which in my opinion is the best WWE pay-per-view that has been this year. Now, one thing you will quickly notice about that pay-per-view, Backlash, and this pay-per-view is, and let me grab the DVD, because yes, I do have the Backlash DVD, because I liked it well enough that I got the Backlash DVD, so I can have... Basically, here's the thing. You had 6 matches on Backlash. Now, of course, WWE pay-per-views usually only go 2 hours and 45 minutes. So there is a possibility of adding 15 more minutes for another match, and you could have 8 matches. But there's 9 matches that are going to be on this pay-per-view. You have and just to run them down, and I'll run them down and tell you kind of why I'm kind of worried about the pacing of this and why I don't really agree with how they have this set up. You're going to have the Monsters Ball match, which, for the Monsters Ball match to be any type of good, and I do think it could be good, even though it does have Black Dust and Raven in it. I do think that if there's one thing about Black Dust and Raven, Dustin Rhodes and Raven, is the fact that they do know how to work a match, and they are good at that, and they do understand psychology. So I do think that even with that, I think it could be a good match. But it's going to have to be, well, this is a gimmick match. And this is the problem that TNA has when they start putting all these gimmick matches on a pay-per-view, is the fact that with gimmick matches, you have to let a bit more time into a gimmick match than just a regular match, just letting somebody go out there and wrestle. So you have to think that this will elite, especially with 4 guys, with the spots people want to see, that sort of thing. And for this to be good, which TNA should be hoping this should be good, it's got to be intros and video packages and the whole thing. You're talking about 20 minutes. If it's not that, I wouldn't expect the match to be very good, to be completely honest. Then we have the Fight for the Right Battle Royal. I don't understand why this is on the pay-per-view, other than just to get everyone you can on the pay-per-view, which I don't necessarily agree with, to be completely honest. I think that, if this is your biggest pay-per-view, one of the things that WWE does a great job of doing, and even, kind of, I think, selling it to the guys, is if you are on the card for WrestleMania, that is within itself a big deal. Well, if you put everybody on the card for Bound for Glory, you're not making it that big of a deal. In my opinion, I don't think you should put everybody on the card. I understand that's why you're doing a Fight for the Right match, but it's a reverse battle royal. Why do a reverse battle royal? A reverse battle royal is hard to follow, and the rules are it's just not a good gimmick match. And again, you're going to have to put a lot of time into this match. The same thing goes for the Knockouts Gauntlet match. I mean, that match within itself, you have to think is going to be at bare minimum 10 minutes. 20 minutes, which will definitely see if these women can go out there and keep the crowd sustained for 20 minutes. That's for sure. Like I said, I am looking forward to that match because I do like Amazing Kong, and I do think that they have enough women in there that know how to wrestle, which I think will make it interesting. And then you have the tables match. Again, this is another match that's going to have to be given time to for it to be any, particularly since it's a 2 out of 3 falls tables match. I mean, unless you just go out there and you start throwing people through tables, which, you know, is fine, I guess, but not what the fans really want to see, and I'm sure not what the Steiners and Team 3D want to go out there and put on either. Then there's the Joe versus Christian match, which again, I mean, this is your wrestling match of the night, and they have a gimmick to that. There must be a winner. Again, you know, this is probably going to be the lengthiest match of the night, you would have to think, or one of, to give any great amount of time to. And the same thing with the Ultimate X match, which, why do you have an Ultimate X match and not for a title? That's just kind of irks me a bit. Why can't you just have these guys just go at it in a regular match, which could have been a good regular match, but your Ultimate X match, this should be good. I have very little doubt, because they usually do pretty good with the Ultimate X matches, but again, they're going to have to give it time. Then we have Team Pac-Man versus AJ and Tomko, and this, I think we're going to get a swerve. I don't think we're going to get Pac-Man and Killings. I think we're going to get a swerve. I think we're going to get some different members of Team Pac-Man. Maybe that's just me wishing, but notice they keep saying Team Pac-Man. They don't say, you know, what part of Team Pac-Man. So I think that would be interesting myself. And then we have the X Division match, which again, people are going to want to see a fairly long match. And then Kurt Angle versus Sting. Now, that's a lot of stuff to put on a 3-hour pay-per-view, not counting, you know, the backstage promos you're going to do, the skits you're probably going to do on a pay-per-view, the video packages, all of that. And I think that they would have done themselves much better if they would have followed what WWE did on this pay-per-view, which was Backlash, in which you only had 6 matches. Now, a lot of people went into this pay-per-view, Backlash, and griped that it only had 6 matches, and it turned out for a long time, until Driven came along, to be the best pay-per-view of the year. Now, last year, Bound for Glory, I felt was the best pay-per-view last year. I really did. I thought it was good. I thought it was a great pay-per-view. I thought it was just slightly better than One Night Stand, which I liked a lot too. And those are the only 2 great pay-per-views that I really thought of last year. I thought everything else was just kind of good. And they only had 8 matches last year, plus the. Now, if they go by last year and they put the Monsters Ball match, or they put, you know, the Fight for the Right match on the pregame show, I think, without a doubt, I think that will be a little better, because it will definitely free up some time that they can use for other things. But this is one of my big gripes with TNA, is the fact that they try to put so much stuff on their pay-per-views. They try to cram so much stuff on there instead of just letting the pay-per-views develop, putting on good, long matches, and trying to be a real alternative to the WWE. If they did that, I think Bound for Glory would be excellent. I mean, like I said, I think there's a lot of very, very good stuff on this pay-per-view. I think it's excellent. I think this has the possibility of being better than Backlash. I really do. I mean, if you just go through this, the Ultimate X match definitely should be better than the tag match that they had at Backlash. The women's match should be, you know, it's a gauntlet match, and I would expect for it to be at least be as exciting as the women's match that was on Backlash. I'd expect Joe and Cage to, at the very least, be as good as Benoit and MVP was. I would also expect that the X Division match should be as good as the main event was. And then there's the main event was Kurt Angle and Sting might not, you know, should be as good. Probably should definitely be better than the ECW title match was as well. So I definitely see this as a possibility of being a very good pay-per-view. I'm just worried that they're not going to put up enough time, and that's one of my biggest problems with TNA. But I just wanted to come on here and kind of talk about this, because I didn't really have anything else to talk about. So anyways, have a good one, and talk to you later.